The morning began quietly, almost deceptively normal. I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my dress, aware of every detail, the hem, the neckline, the subtle shimmer that caught the light just right. My hands shook only slightly, not with nerves, but with the weight of knowing some of the people I wanted most to see me wouldn't be there. I glanced toward the table where my invitations to family had been carefully set out. Empty seats stared back at me, each one marked with a name I had hoped to see. My parents, my sister, my brother, none of them had arrived. Instead, I knew they were somewhere else, celebrating my sister's promotion, a milestone apparently more deserving of attention than my wedding. I had expected disappointment. I had rehearsed it silently over the past months, but the emptiness felt sharper than anticipated. At the venue, guests began to trickle in. Friends, distant relatives, colleagues, people who had known our love story from the start. Flowers filled the room, music drifted softly from the speakers, and laughter began to ripple through the tables. I scanned the crowd for familiar faces, then back at the empty ones, feeling the familiar mix of resignation and resolve settle in. The ceremony passed in a blur of vows, rings, and whispered promises. My partner squeezed my hand with steady warmth, and in that grip I found solace. The absence of my family was still a dull ache, but it no longer dictated the rhythm of the day. I was not without support. I had chosen my people, and they were here. When the reception began, we moved to the cake. The candles flickered, the photographer lined up, and laughter filled the room as people took photos and whispered congratulations. I smiled, holding my partner's hand, and reached for the knife. That's when my phone lit up. 49 missed calls, a text from my mother. My heart paused. I didn't answer immediately. I studied the room for a moment, friends smiling and unaware of the tension simmering quietly beneath my calm surface. My hand hovered over the cake, the knife steady. The text blinked. Callous. Now we need to talk. I exhaled slowly. It was the first real acknowledgement of me that morning, even if it was delayed, panicked, and self-serving. The power dynamic had shifted. For the first time, they were reaching out after choosing not to be present. I held the control, and the moment was mine to navigate. I remembered past birthdays, past graduations, past achievements, how they always showed up for my sister, how my milestones were small footnotes or inconvenient interruptions, how I had learned early to absorb disappointment, to manage it quietly so that celebrations could continue around me without needing my validation. I read the text again and felt no urgency to respond immediately. 49 missed calls could wait. Their panic did not erase years of neglect, and it certainly would not dictate my joy. Instead, I turned back to the cake, my partner at my side. Guests leaned in as I carefully sliced the first piece, placing it on a plate with deliberate calm. I looked around the room, noting the warmth, the laughter, the chosen family that surrounded me. The celebration did not require their presence. It never had. A part of me wanted to respond, to pick up the phone and soothe the panic in my mother's voice before it even had a chance to rise. But another part, the stronger, quieter part, held back. This day, my day, belonged to me, to us. When I finally glanced at my phone again, the number of missed calls had climbed. I read the text one more time. There was no apology. There was no explanation, only urgency, only the realization that they had missed the moment that mattered most, and perhaps they understood it now. I set the phone down without answering. Silence, patience, and self-respect. My partner squeezed my hand again. Guests offered quiet congratulations, oblivious to the tension I held in reserve. It didn't matter. Later, long after the cake was eaten, the music slowed, and guests began to leave, I glanced at the empty seats once more.
The absence no longer felt like a wound. It was a marker, a line drawn clearly. My joy did not require validation from those who consistently failed to provide it. And though my mother's messages continued, blinking insistently on my phone, I felt a quiet satisfaction. Not triumph, not revenge, just clarity. I had chosen to celebrate myself, my love, my life, without bending for approval that was never guaranteed. The day unfolded on my terms. The power lay quietly, undeniably, in my hands. And for the first time, that was enough.